Hey there, and thanks so much for taking a chance on this small channel. And a welcome back for the fourth episode of our Comment of the Day series here on the second channel. As many of you guys know, we post a video every single day on the main channel, and then I think now the day after, on Sundays, we'll be having a Comment of the Day episode, just like this, where we can hang out, get to know each other a little bit more. Feel free to leave this running on the background, and we'll have some good cinematics and some good music going on as well. So let's kick back and relax. And before we start the Comment of the Day episode, I do have a little bit of a confession, a little bit of a spiel that I want to give to all of you guys. And that is, to be completely frank, before I sat down and I got to the microphone, I really wasn't totally about making this Q&A. And yesterday, I had planned on making the Q&A video, but I decided that I wanted to live stream a little bit of building school with you all. And I got a question the other day. I want to say it was from ETAT, but it came in about just like balancing burnout and that sort of thing. And I think it's really important to be able to go with the flow. And I think that there's a perfect time and place for everything, right? Even when it comes to sitting down and recording or writing or doing anything that gives you pleasure or the things that you have to do, there's times that you can and ways that you can schedule your time in order to continue to have thrill and like fulfillment and enjoyment in the things that you're doing. And there's a common misconception about work in that a lot of people are like, oh, I need to be done with work. I got to stop working. And don't get me wrong, I should take more of a break every once in a while. But to be honest, I'm definitely a subscriber of the idea that it's not the work that you need to get away from, but it's actually switching up the type of work that you're doing. And if you've been sitting down doing one task for way too many hours or one day, it's not like way too many days, it's not like you need to switch up the task necessarily, or it's not that you need to stop working necessarily, but it might be a good idea to switch up the task and go what you're feeling with. And so that's what I ended up doing yesterday. But then today was a busy day, and I'm sure I'm not alone when I say that I can be very hard on myself, and sometimes a lot of the extra stress in my life is self-imposed. I take a lot of pride about being able to get these videos out to you pretty consistently and to be able to put my best foot forward through doing them. And before I started this, I was kind of in a weird headspace about it because I had wanted to make this video all day. It was what I was looking forward to all day because I really just enjoy being able to kick back with you guys and kind of let you know a little bit about what's going on inside me and that sort of thing. And I was like, man, this is all I want to do. Like, I've been trying to work my schedule all day so that I can fit in making this video and being able to have the space where I can access what's within me and be able to bring that to the microphone, not only in an energetical sense, but just in a physical time and can I fit it in sort of way. And the schedule really wasn't working, and I was getting really perturbed about it. I was getting frustrated about it. And so when it came down to, getting home and being like, okay, well, now I finally am able to do the task that I want to do, I still was like, oh, but like I'm running out of time and that sort of thing. And then I was able to take a step back just a couple minutes before I started recording this, and I was able to think this was what I wanted to do all day. And it's not because of just the satisfaction of getting another video out, but there really is something I think special about being able to have this medium between you guys, and I really hope that you guys enjoy hearing my thoughts and that sort of thing. But I also it's really helpful for me too and that sort of thing. And so I'm glad I was working all day and that sort of thing. And then when I finally was able to just switch it up and be grateful. Like, this is exactly what I want to do. And why is it that I'm excited that I want to do this? Because there's something about being in the moment and being able to do this with you all that is really special to me. And getting back to the microphone and putting my headphones on and being like, okay, I did an awesome day's work. And, I'm blessed in that I do have the capability of being able to get this out to you all, and really taking a step back and being thankful for that. And so I think it was the mind shift that I needed in order to do this Q&A with you all. And I also just wanted to share this because I am by no means whatsoever perfect. And I do think that, it's important to have that balance, and be able to switch up the activity that you're doing. I think a lot of us get fulfillment out of this creation process, and that's why I do it myself. It's cathartic and fulfilling and so much more. But if you don't, give yourself that balance and be able to switch up the task and, lay into yourself too much about deadlines and that sort of thing, I think that you can let it get to you, and that's where burnout does come from. And I'm back to working full time once again. And so getting these videos out is much more difficult now. And so I think that I'm going through the journey and the ups and downs and trying to figure out how to do this in the most balanced way possible. And I talked about in the last Q&A that the most important lesson that I've learned this year is the importance of balance, but I am by no means a saint in that, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But I think it's really the moments where you can get to sit back and be yourself in front of the medium of the microphone and the editing software and your platform of choice. For many of us, for me and myself, it's Minecraft, and we do this because of that feeling and that presence and that sort of thing. And it's so great to be able to hold on to that. And so I think this is going to be a good Q&A, and I'm really excited to answer your questions today. Our first question comes in from Break the Net, who asks, how long did it take you to develop your building skill and style? And in response to this question, I would say that my building skill and style is definitely still in the works. But how did I build it, or how did I develop it? I would say definitely just trial and error. And I don't want to be one of those YouTubers that's like, oh, you just need to build more and whatnot. But I think that there really is no sort of growth that you can get, or no better growth that you can get than really putting your hands and getting your elbows dirty with the skill set that you want to do, and doing that deliberately. I'm a big subscriber of the idea of deep work and getting into a flow state, and the ability to really level up your skill sets throughout anything in life by doing something called deliberate practice. And what is that? It's really putting away all distractions and knuckling down and putting in the work and trying to take different technical skills and get better. And the improvements really do come. You won't see them as much at first, but one thing that I'm really realizing the more that I get into this is that your ability really provides the platform for your capability within the game, in particular in Minecraft. And what I mean by that is that, and I think it really applies to video editing as well. When, for me, when it comes to Minecraft, my first builds and that sort of thing, my first better roofs, I wouldn't consider that good anymore. But considered to what I had prior to that, it was really bad. And I think that the more that you really take the time to build and focus on the different things, the more you're able to really have more capability within the game. So, you can focus on roofs, and every house with a roof that you get, it's going to get a little bit better every time, and not only easier. You're like, oh, wait, I know how to do this roof shape. And then you've done that, and it becomes muscle memory. And then you're like, oh, wait, what if I try this angle? And then you're going to be met with a different roadblock, and then you're going to have to really figure out how to, pick up and put down blocks in order to figure out what that looks like. And then the more that you encounter that, you're like, oh wait, I've done a house that looks like that before with that sort of design. Okay, how can I switch it up? And then, for example, when it comes to decoration, like with window panes in particular, you might have seen me on stream last night do a bunch of different types of iterations for what different window panes could be. And, when I started, I could only do, maybe 1 or 2 types. And so I just used like trapdoors and that sort of thing. And then the more that you really try to, mess around with it, the more that you can figure out different ways to spin on things. And I think that I definitely have never really taken from like a raw blueprint of like, oh, I'm just gonna build these shapes and then try to like figure it out and that sort of thing. I think it's actually something I'm using a little bit more now. And so I think that there's really something to be said about just trying to figure out how to, build architecture. And then, and the biggest tip that I could give when it comes to like building in particular, and I got this from Flip, is that if you want a really good build, and this is what I do for most of my builds, honestly, build it in one block. Take cobblestone and build the entire thing in one block, like put in the stairs and the slabs and that sort of thing, and get the exact shape that you want, and then come in with all the other blocks that you would want. And if you have a really solid one block foundation, then the sky's the limit, and you can place in all of the texturing blocks and it just really pops, and then you put in the decorations and it becomes a real work of art, in my personal opinion. And so I think that is a lot of what I've done, and just trying to build and be like, oh wait, what is, start to look at reference images, and then be like, really, when you're in the game, take a step back, and instead of just putting down and placing down blocks, being like, well, if I want to make this type of build, like if I place myself into that building, like how would I transmit that into Minecraft? I think the more that you get familiar with that the ins and outs and that sort of thing, I think that the more you're able to translate your vision, quote unquote. But I would not say that I am able to whatsoever, because I'm not nearly advanced enough to just have a direct vision of what I want in a way that like Incy might, and just like kind of put it in the world. But I think that the pursuit of doing that is why I say that I'm still developing my build style. But I would also say that using different types of themes that you would want to go off of, and different types of builds that you would want to do, and really push yourself out of your comfort zone. For me, the first example was the sailboats that I made in the Hardcore Kingdom. I'd never made a sailboat before, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to follow a tutorial, and did that. And I did that from Lord Docker, who was incredibly helpful at the time. And then I decided, you know what, hey, I'm going to try to figure out what this actually could look like if I did it by myself. And so I hopped into a creative world and, hummed and hawed and try to figure it out. And the more that I've done that, now I actually feel pretty confident that I can just hop into a creative world and sit down and get a pretty good design down. And so doing that, and then trying to get creative. Every time you use different builds, you have to experiment with different sorts of ideas and try to make everything fit together. And especially if you're used to building in a medieval theme per se, for me, I'm kind of going like this Italian weird steampunk style. And I've never used any of the blocks before. And so trying to keep it consistent is another challenge for me to be like, okay, this is what I've got. How can I make things that are recognizable and enjoyable to look at, and all of the good things about them? And so, yeah, I would say that. And we'll talk about inspirations a little bit later, but it's a really great question, I gotta say. Our next comment comes in from NVixie1, who asks, do you plan on making a public SMP for everyone to join? And oh man, I wish, I'm an elementary school teacher, which is going to lead into your second question, but I really had a ton of fun this entire summer. I knuckled down and really tried to improve the craft, not only my editing, but my commentating, every single thing that comes into being a YouTuber or making the best content that I can. I really knuckled down and put all the time into it and was able to interact with all of you guys and have so many incredible videos over the summer every single week and on the second channel here with the Q&As and whatnot. And I had so much time to do it, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'd love to have an SMP at some point, but I just know that it's not going to happen this year. I'm an elementary school teacher, which goes into your second question, which is, do you enjoy your job? And I really love my job. I love working with kids. It brings a lot of fulfillment to my life. Don't get me wrong, it is a lot of work, and not only just within the 40-hour work week, but outside of it. Teachers put in a lot of time outside of work in order to give our kids the best education that they can. And some, of course, I'm a teacher myself, but really as someone that's in it, it takes a lot of work, and it's not one of those jobs where you can kind of just be like, okay, I clocked out at 9 to 5, I'm done with the day. But it's one of those things where it's like, oh wait, this kid's ability to succeed in life is dependent on how I prepare and how my ability to be able to communicate knowledge and make it transferable to them. And so the responsibility and the value that I place on that is really high. And I'm really proud of being able to take that responsibility. And I know that I'm a good fit for the job, and it's very fulfilling for me. I gotta say, I've always wanted to be a teacher, and so that's a dream for me. But I also, I really do love making these YouTube videos, and the more that I engage with it, the more I get lost in the process. And this pursuit, this hobby that has become so much more than that over the last couple of years to me, has really shown a lot of, wow, like I think that there's something here for me. That doesn't mean that the world is going to show that there's something here for me. But you can see that I'm shooting for the stars in that way too. If, I had the time that I had over the summer, and I think that the great thing about loving my job and being a teacher is that I do have the summers off. And so I can, the more I can grow and, grow as a person and grow on this platform as a YouTuber and that sort of thing. Next summer, who knows? I have all this time on the teacher summer, and it'll be a new year. Who knows what happens a year from now. And so I'd love to do it. It wouldn't be a public SMP though. The reason for it is that it would just get too chaotic. And I really love playing with the creators, my friends now on the Lotus SMP. We have a really good time together, but the reason that I took a long time and held off before joining a different group of people, before just going in and doing an SMP, it wasn't about trying to get hardcore views or anything like, because hardcore is a good niche. It was really because I wanted to find people that were just as dedicated about it as I am and have the same love and community and just energy as me. It was very deliberate for me to find that here. And part of the process now that I'm in this wonderful thing is that the bar for what makes a 10 out of 10 experience 10 out of 10 has risen in a wonderful way. And so a public SMP where I could get my base griefed, and I spend 20 to 30 hours creating the different things that I do. Having just one person mess that because they think it would be funny with their friends is a complete no-go. And I think that that's probably an understandable statement. And so the only way that I would do an SMP, it would have to be through members only. And I wouldn't be wanting to paywall, or anything like that. I really do love doing this thing. And so becoming a member is something that helps me. And it also shows that you really care about this as much as I do. And so for those people, I'd love to hang out with you guys and interact with you and be able to build things and be able to record things, but I don't have the time to do that. It would be a disservice to the children that I'm responsible for giving a great future and education to sacrifice more time than I am in order to do that this year, as much as I would love to do it. Even for those of you guys that would want to hang out and do members only SMP stuff and make content out of that, it just can't be this year. You know, it's really too much. I'm pushing it a lot to do a video every single week on the main channel and do a stream every single week as well, along top a second channel video. And so, man, yeah, I'd love to do it. It would be such a blast, and I've seen Bart's do that, and it seems like a good time. And I love hanging out with you guys in stream, and the more I've hung out with Break the Net and Game before, and you know, a lot of the other guys too, that a lot of y'all that hang out, I've hung out with you guys in game, and those have been my favorite experiences with you all. But to be frank, I don't have the time to do that. Maybe next summer I wouldn't be public, but it would be for all of you guys that are real about having a good time and making something special. I wouldn't want to just play Minecraft and mess around. I'm here to do big things and make incredible things and tell stories and create art. And so I would want you to be a part of that as well. Our next question comes from Cobb Plays, who asks, do you have any fitness goals for the year? And if I'm being honest, the only goals that I have, and this is kind of unlike me, for those of you that know me already, I exercise 7 days a week. I used to be a personal trainer. Part of my coming of who I am as a person story is losing like 45 pounds or so, and becoming a personal trainer, and my life completely changed. Everything changed as a result of it, and so fitness and exercise is very, very important to me. I'm really not necessarily usually a guy to set drastic goals and that sort of thing. Last year, and things have just been busy, and I've had to make other sacrifices, and I'm about to get into that, and it's my choice, and I'm still very active. But last year I'd wanted to do a half marathon in my city, and then things got too busy, and so I'd like to do that too, but it can be difficult in the middle of winter where I live to go out and run, and I'm definitely that hard-headed guy that does wake up and, you know, is running out in super early in the morning, usually like, you know, 5:30 a.m. before the sun's up. And sometimes it'll be snowing, and sometimes there's already snow on the ground and that sort of thing, and it'll range. I don't usually run below 10 degrees, but I'll run, you know, just around there, even if it's snowing and whatnot. And it can be really fun to do that, but you have to get into the throw of it, I have to say. And you definitely, in my city, you can see some sights at that early in the morning. If you're out and about running, you kind of have to be a little bit cautious. I've seen, you know, some passed on folks, if that makes sense. I'm not going to get into it, but yeah, you can see a lot. But you really do feel like you've conquered the world when you've already run in the morning and that sort of thing. But in order to train for a half marathon or a marathon, you do have to sacrifice that, and then the more that you train, you do have to sacrifice that, and then the more that you train, you don't want to just run on the treadmill the whole time. That's not fun. And I live in the mountains, and so I really like trail running when I'm out and about, and when I'm at it and that sort of thing. But over the last year or so, as things have gotten so busy, and this year is threatening to even be busier, which I can't even fathom at the moment, especially with the goals, you know, once again, from the beginning of the video, the self-imposed goals that you can place on yourself. And YouTube, as you can all tell, is something that's really, really important to me. And so I do want to keep being consistent, and I take a lot of fulfillment out of that, but I do have to make sacrifices. And so I would, you know, as things are warmer right now, or as things in the spring get warmer, as you're training for the half marathon even more, I'd want to go up into the mountains and go trail running, but that's like 45 minutes away from me, meaning that it's an hour and a half transport, not alone, you know, running up and down the mountain, which takes a long time too. And so it adds up to, you know, 2.5, 3 hours or so. And, you know, that's what time is very important to me, very, very important to me. And we only have so much. And I want to do the things that are most important to me. And for whatever reason, in a wonderful way, I am so about taking the time that I have in order to see what happens here on this platform, that sort of thing. And so my gym, I'm very lucky. I live in an apartment and the gym is right below me, so I can just walk downstairs, and it's a 30-second, transport in order to stay healthy and be consistent. But it'd be 3 hours where I could, get an extra 2 hours of work done. And so for me, that time, it's just not worth it at the moment. Call me the traditional YouTuber Minecrafter that isn't touching grass as much. I know that's true, but I've really taken, as you all know, I've taken so much enjoyment from doing this, and I want to continue to do that. And I'm here for y'all, and y'all are here for me, and it really does make a bigger difference in my life than I can really communicate. Our next comment comes in from Indiana Animates, who asks, how did you get the name Slip? Is it related? Our next comment comes in from Indiana Animates, who asks, how did you get the name Slip? Is it related to the fish you had? And what inspired you to start making videos? So I'll start off and I'll briefly explain how I got the name Slip. I've mentioned it before, so I'm sure a couple people may have already heard of it, but I love rap music, and back at the beginning of college, there was a Migos song that came out, and I think it's called Slippery. And I'm one of those people that when I find a really good rap song, I just put it on repeat and repeat and repeat. And so for a small period of time when we were all forming our relationships and getting to know each other at the beginning of college, I just, when I finally got comfortable with these guys and the song came out and it was a total bop for me, I just ended up completely, becoming, I don't know, like my theme song was like Slip. Their song goes like Slippery. And I always used to just walk in the room and like be goofy and be like Slippery. And then other people would be like Slippery. And then, eventually it kind of, as the trend or the theme kind of wore out a little bit, I wasn't just coming in being like Slippery all the time. People would just be like, oh, what's up, Slip? And so I was like, oh, I kind of like that. Like, it's kind of chill. And so I was looking for a bunch of different names, and one of my favorite Minecrafters is Fwip. And I was like, my nickname's Slip. Like, Fwip is kind of similar and that sort of thing. And I used to be called Sliptini, and so there's a lot more iterations went into it, but Slip was kind of a nickname that I had in college, and it seemed to go well off the tongue, and it was kind of who I was, right? And who I am totally now. I'm definitely Slip, right? But the fish that I had, I named Slip just because I wasn't, Slip was me, but I also was like, I'm not Slip. I had another main nickname that I've had for my entire life that my best friends know me and call me by, and that sort of thing. And so, I was still not particularly Slip, but I was also my other, person, if that makes sense. And so I was like, oh, I'll name the fish Slip. That's chill. And so, no, the fish is a little bit unrelated, but the nickname is related to the fish's name, if that makes sense. But nowadays, I feel like I identify more with the nickname that I got in real life before, in Minecraft and choosing it and that sort of thing. I feel more like Slip than my older nickname from when I was younger and that sort of thing. And I think that it shows how comfortable I've gotten with who I am. Not only just generally speaking, I tell everyone yeah, this is my Minecraft YouTube channel, I'm Slip and that sort of thing. And I'm completely okay with that, where maybe last year or a couple of years I've been yeah, I don't know if I want to tell people that my name is Slip. That's, that's kind of weird, but, also I take so much pride, and I really love being who I am. This is my most authentic self with you guys, and so I really do respond to Slip. That's who I am, and I love watching other Lotus members' videos, and they'll be like Slip, and I'll perk my head up after editing, because I'm like, oh, that's me. And so I recognize that probably even more frequently than my main name. And what inspired me to start making videos? Well, it's hard to really answer the question, and because I don't have a full answer for you, and I'm sorry about that, Indiana, but I've been making videos forever. And to just give like a short snippet, when I was like 12 or 13, my dad got me a GoPro camera. So I always wanted to make, I just instantly was like, oh, I want to use this camera. It looks so cool. I've seen the commercials for the GoPro people. And I was super young. And we went on a tropical vacation to Barbados, and we ended up using the camera. And then we were on vacation, and when we sat down, we thought like, oh, just like press a button and like we're gonna have this awesome video. And it was all the technical things, and my dad tried to figure it out. And he only got a little bit, and my dad's a very techie guy, don't get me wrong. But I was like, man, like I wanted to see all the cool shots that I like made with this GoPro. And so as a young kid, I kind of started delving into like, how do I figure out how to take this really raw GoPro footage and put it into a cool little video? And so that started from a really young age, and even just going around the house with my GoPro camera, trying to get cinematic angles and trying to make things look exciting, even if it wasn't that exciting, which is a huge, and I was talking with ETAD about this, I think a huge part of why I have a particular lens or perspective when it comes to cinematics. A lot of the things you may notice, like they're not that exciting, but I make it look exciting. Like I placed down a stone block, but I made it look cool and went with the music. Like, you know, that was it was one block that was placed, and then I cut to the next scene, right? And I think that was because from a young age, I was always like, well, I have my backyard, I have my house, I can walk down the street and try to make things look cool, but I don't have a car. Like I can't just go and like make things happen and make things exciting, but I want to try to make a video. And so I would do that and borrow my dad's computer and whatnot. And then as I got older, I ended up running an Instagram account for GoPro. It had like 30,000 followers, which kind of got me into like, oh, it's really fun to like grow a community and that sort of thing. And I think that happened like 14 or 15 years old. And so I was making videos then, and then from 15 until I think like 21 years old, for almost 5 years on my Instagram account, I used my GoPro camera and got really good at making cinematic videos. And I would make them every single week on my Instagram, or every other week and that sort of thing. And I've had lots of really wonderful experiences traveling around the world. And so I got to show those every single week through my Instagram and try to, and you know, for the first time in my life, I wasn't just like filming boring things in my daily life. I was like really doing the GoPro adventure thing, and that was super enamoring. But then I kind of fell disillusioned with posting. I felt like it was a little bit in vain after a long period of time, and so I won't talk about that. But I can in the future. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to just post for everyone that knows me to see. The reason I started making videos was the artistic and the creation process out of it. And so COVID happened, and I ended up getting a new computer specifically for the reason that I wanted to make Minecraft videos. And so I ended up delving into it, and I was watching tons of Minecraft YouTube at the time. It's, I think, always kind of been like a hidden passion for me, but I really just allowed myself to go to the forefront. I was no longer in high school or college, and it was COVID, and I had no one to, kind of hide it from, if that makes sense. And I was like, you know what, this is something that I've always loved doing, but I didn't really want to go into. And tons of other Minecraft content creators ended up inspiring me to do that, and I've talked about that. And I don't want to name drop because I feel like I do that more than I think, but a lot of the really awesome people that really support me now, I looked up to, and I have looked up to and continue to. And so I was like, man, it'd be so cool to get to know these people and collaborate with them and interact with them and that sort of thing. What if I could do this? Like, I know how to edit videos on my phone with GoPro stuff. Why don't I, and then I fell in love. I think Mythical Sausage did Empire Season 2 and his cinematics. I was like, oh my gosh, you can tell a story. Like, Minecraft isn't just gaming and a let's play. Minecraft is telling something way more than that. And I think from there, it's been to the races. And so that's what inspired me. But it goes into a question that I asked myself on the second channel, because I thought it was really important, and I thought that it led into this pretty well. And the question that I asked myself is, why do I make Minecraft videos? And it's really important because the reason that I do it now is not the reason that I started. And I think if I had stayed with the reason that I had started, I wouldn't be here anymore. And I'm so glad that I'm here, and I continue on being here for a very long time. And I think that transition in perspective has been really important. And if there's anything to be taken from this video, I would say this is what I want to communicate. I started making Minecraft videos because I wanted to translate this love, and I wanted to see I was like, oh, what if I could be successful on YouTube? And I proved it to myself. Like I'm really proud. I consider myself successful on YouTube, and other people are like, you're not a small channel. And I'm like, I still feel like I am, because you always raise the bar, but I've come a long way. And just in the last 7 months, I've grown like almost 1,500 subscribers. Like, I've almost doubled the fan base. And that's like something to really be said. And I've put a lot of work into it, but I think that 2 years ago when I started, that wasn't the reason that I started. Or the reason I do it now wasn't when I started. I just wanted to get the views and see. I was like, oh, what if I could do this, and that sort of thing. And everyone has in the back of their minds, or at least I would like to think so, the unrealistic or realistic hope and dream and aspiration that's important in order to try to make this thing work in the first place. That is, what if this pops off? And I think everyone has this hope in the back of their mind with every video. Like, I put a lot of time, and I think this is my best work at its point in time. Therefore, I really hope that this pops off. And I'm sure that I'm not alone in having been let down on that a million times. And, as someone that has spent 30 plus hours every single week for years now, right? Like, hate to say it, but I've sacrificed a lot to do this. But I love doing it, and that's why I've made the sacrifices. And not everyone, it's not worth it for everybody, but it's been worth it for me in particular. But if I had continued, because, I had that instant mindset, and it's been, coming up on 3 years, and I'm not at 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000 or 100,000, or, have the ability to make a decision on, oh, what if I wanted to make a transition point and try to pursue this full time, or that sort of thing. Like, a lot of us do that because we also want that, and that's why we're also grinding. And if I had continued with strictly that mindset forever, I wouldn't be here anymore. I would have burnt out. I would have given up. I would have, my success meter would have been outside of my control. And you realize that, and the people that continue doing that, they continue doing this, it's because they keep wanting to find the improvement, and it's bigger than that. It's not a vanity statistic, although many of us are afflicted by it, and I'm not alone in that. I'm sure I'm not alone in that. But many of us are here because of the moments that I talked about at the beginning of this, at the beginning of this Q&A, where it's about the moment, and it's about really seeing where you're at where you've grown, and not just statistically, but as a person through the process, and as a creator, and as an individual that's grown skill sets through doing hard work and putting in the time and effort into something that you love. That is what it's all about. And the community, it's not about the numbers and that sort of thing. And man, I wish that I could be in a more quote unquote fortunate situation and be able to make that change. But guess what? Skizzle, man, ended up going full time only this past week, and he's been grinding just as hard. He has, made a podcast every single week in the way that I've been doing this Q&A every single week, but only for 5 weeks. And he's done it for 100 episodes on top of other years of content creation. So, I see the sacrifice that the rest of you guys that are in this and are really doing it. It's palpable. And I know it because I'm in it too. And there's really something to be said about that. But yeah, there's something to be said about that in a positive way, because there's a lot of community and a lot of growth, and just positive, just growth as a person, and then it translates through how you present yourself through the medium and that sort of thing. That's what it's all about. And you can look back and be like, I was at this point in time, at this point in my life when I made this, and I thought this was my best, but here I am now, and I can put this out just like nothing. And here I am, and I know all these different things, and look at where I've come, and look at the people that have come along the ride. And that's where the community part comes in. And so why do I make YouTube videos? It brings me so much happiness and fulfillment in the moment. Not always, because there's definitely slog parts of it. I make 200 plus cinematic clips a week for a video on top of the, 15 to 20 hours of recording, and then, placing it down into something that is the best quality that I can given the time frame that I have, which is every free moment. Like, I'm dedicating as much as I can in order to do this. But the reason I can do that is the reason that I talked about at the beginning, where you switch up the work and you try to make things happen on a timeline that's enjoyable for you, but also because you need to, or for me, I needed to find that I had what I needed, which was being better and getting better and seeing myself getting better, although I couldn't at first, and knowing what I was doing was my best foot forward, and seeing the people that recognize that and taking a second, because everyone has that imposter syndrome and doesn't believe it, but being like, wait, those are actual people that are taking a chance and spending their time, the most important thing for me in order to do that, and losing yourself in the moment and looking back at the video and being like, oh my gosh, this is not only something that was just thrown out, but it was the best that I could do at this point in time. And so that's why I do it now. And when, the cheesy thing where people are like, oh, I wouldn't do it without you. Of course I would get better over time if I couldn't do it, but it's the people along the way that you meet. And so it's really important. And I think every veteran YouTuber that is like, if you're getting into YouTube, you need to make sure that you love it. Like, you need to make sure that you love the process, and it's not going to be fun, but the sacrifice, what are you willing to suffer in order to be what you want to be and make things that you're proud of and put that into the world? It takes a lot, and you get a lot out of it. And so that's why I'm here for it. Our last question of the day comes from Nvixie1, who asks, what's your favorite way to spend a weekend? And this may be unsurprising to you all, and this isn't how it always was for me, but it's playing Minecraft, and I have a perfect schedule for me that makes that happen. So wake up, it doesn't matter the time in particular, but I like waking up before the sun rises, and so I get extra fulfillment out of that. So usually sleeping in late for me is around like 5:15 a.m. I don't usually sleep in much later than that. And so my videos on Saturdays come out at 7:15 in the morning on my time. It's 9:15 Eastern time, but it's 7:15 in the morning. So I do a couple hours of just playing Minecraft in the morning and waking up. And then right before the video, I start sipping on a little bit of pre-workout, and I get to watch and premiere the new video with you all. And it is so gratifying. I love it's probably the best part of my weekends by now. It's so fun to do. And then I, log off, and then usually I schmooze a little bit, do like one extra Minecraft chore or so, and then I go to the gym. And then I can come back and I take a bath or so, and it's like 9:30, sometimes 10 a.m. taking it slow, and during the entire time when I'm doing that, I'm watching Minecraft videos. Like, I'll wake up and wake up for a little bit, and I don't do this during the work week, but on Saturdays, because I work on Sundays, on Saturdays, while I'm brushing my teeth in the morning and it's early and I'm prepping my smoothie for the day and that sort of thing, I'm washing the dishes, I'm watching YouTube videos, and I love doing it. Such a wonderful way, and I play Minecraft while catching up on the YouTube that I've been missing out on. And I get to leave some awesome comments and whatnot. And then, I get back and I'm cleaned up and whatnot. And then I do another rounds of maybe, 3.5 hours or so of playing Minecraft and getting stuff done. And I don't really play Minecraft that much on the work week. It's more editing and that sort of thing. So I get to play all the Minecraft that I want. And sometimes I get to hang out with people on the Lotus SMP. Other times I'm just watching tons and tons and tons of YouTube while playing Minecraft, and I love doing that. Then I'll usually take a break and go outside for a little bit, or maybe do some chores, maybe go get some groceries or whatnot, and then I'll hop in and do another Minecraft session. It's really playing Minecraft and try to get as much work done as I can. There's no editing done on Saturdays. I forbid it. It's only getting to do my favorite thing, which is, doing the Minecraft stuff. And I really don't do chores. I really try to make it so that I'm making things, which I love building, as you guys can tell in Minecraft. And that's really Saturday. And recently trying to stream if I'm feeling social enough and that sort of thing, and really just getting to hang out with you guys and feel like a little YouTuber, if that makes sense. And then after that, I'll log off, I'll have dinner, and I usually watch like a quick YouTube video, but not gaming related. Usually I'm watching gaming related stuff all day. And I'll watch like some news related stuff or maybe some self-help related stuff. And then if I'm really on it, it doesn't usually happen, if I'm being frank, but I would say like 30% of the time on a weekend night, especially on a Saturday night, because I've work the next morning and I have to be out of the house at like 5:30 in the morning. I have a book series that I'm really, really loving. And so hopefully just like what I do when I'm on it, and I usually do this on Saturdays, I'll take a hot bath after playing Minecraft. I'll eat dinner and watch it, and then I'll take a hot bath. And then I'll settle down with a book for like half an hour, and usually I'm in bed, or like I'm in bed reading at like 8:30, and the lights are off at 9 o'clock. And that works really, really well for me, and I just feel accomplished, and then I feel clean, and I can settle down and be analog for the night, and be disconnected and that sort of thing, and kind of gear up for the start of the work week. And when I do that perfectly, it's awesome. Sometimes on Saturdays, I will get too lost in a project and I'll push it like an extra hour or so. And what that sacrifices is the hot bath, and it'll sacrifice the reading and that sort of thing. But I would say I hot bath more times than like more than 50%. And I read probably 30% of the time. And so you won't catch me going out. I used to be a fraternity brother, and I've done the partying thing, and it's not me. I'm going to go to sleep early. I take immense satisfaction about getting up early and working on these videos for you all. So speaking of, I hope that you guys enjoyed our fourth Q&A video for the Lotus SMP, that you guys enjoyed the cinematics, and I hope that you guys are enjoying getting to know me a little bit more. As always, if you would like to leave a question for the next comment of the day episode, I would love to do that. I answer all of the questions, no matter how long the Q&A goes. And so leave one in the comments below, and I'll see you next week.